Linus Tech Tips at CES 2019 is brought to you by dbrand. The dbrand grip case and prism screen protector are available at the link in the video description. I'm finally on hands with the Nubia X, and I gotta say, I am really impressed by a lot of aspects of this device, given that this is from a brand that I have personally never actually been hands-on with before. So, everyone's got a different sort of concept for how we move towards an all-screen phone, whether it's a foldable device or a pop-up selfie camera or facial recognition scanner or whatever the case may be. Their solution is the one that I actually personally think makes the most sense with the technology we have today. They just went and put an OLED display on the back of the phone, so instead of having to have a dedicated selfie camera at all, you just use your rear camera in order to take a selfie. You go ahead and hit that selfie button, and boom! Now you're on the OLED screen on the back. Ooh, I'm in pretty mode. You know what, I'm gonna go full not pretty. Yeah, we all knew that wasn't gonna be pretty anyway. Then you go ahead, flip it back around, and there it is. Now, the cool thing is that it would have been a lot of added cost to put a 5.1-inch OLED display on the back of the phone just for the sake of taking selfies. But they've actually built some really interesting other functionality into it as well. If you were into it for whatever reason, you can actually switch to it and use it as the primary display of the phone just by flipping it around. You can configure that to not happen automatically though if you want, so you can add a gesture where you just press these two buttons and it'll switch it around. Or you can actually set it up, instead of in mirror mode, to be in a mode that they're calling multitasking mode. So obviously this is a bad example, but I went to launch a game and I think it was looking for a data connection. It didn't work. It's okay, oh, hey, it did work. So here, you can have a game running on your primary screen, and then you can flip it back over and go, yeah, I gotta reply to a quick message, but you don't actually have to do that drag down, minimize your game whole thing. And you could use it for really like any number of things. That is an absolutely incredible idea. Another thing that you can do is you can configure it as an additional input. So you can set zones here that you can use as, for example, this is also a gaming application, as triggers for firing a weapon or whatever the case may be. That's pretty neat too. So as shocking as this feels to me, it's actually more than just a gimmick as far as I can tell. Now, I'm not crazy impressed with the quality of the rear camera, so we're not necessarily solving the problem of taking the best selfies ever by putting the screen on the back of this particular phone, but the overall fit and finish of this thing is just surprisingly good, and the specs are great too. So Snapdragon 845, up to 8 gigs of RAM, 512 gigs of storage. They're quoting 6 hours of screen time, 6 hours of continuous use with a 3800 milliamp hour battery. Yeah, that's right, a 3800 milliamp hour battery. And there's even one more cool thing that is kind of a, wow, why did nobody else ever think of this thing? You look at the front, you go, okay, there's no room for a fingerprint sensor there, obviously. It's not in screen, unfortunately, at this time. You look at the back and you can go, oh, well, there's no fingerprint sensor there either. So they've done a side fingerprint sensor like we've seen, I mean, Sony's done that in the past. That's not particularly new, but this is new. They've put it on both sides. So I initially thought, oh, it's ambidextrous. I can do it this way or this way and use my thumb every time. But what they're actually using it for is to increase the security of the device. So it now checks not just one fingerprint, but 2 fingerprints, so that you can, instead of having a, whatever it is, like 1 in a million or 1 in 100,000 or whatever the chances are of an accidental fingerprint match, now it's checking 2 fingerprints, increasing the device's security. Pretty freaking sick. Finally, we've got a feature that's less futuristic and more of a throwback, but definitely one I'm happy to see. It's got an IR blaster on it. Hell yeah! So there's gonna be the guys that are like, huh? What's that? Who cares? And then there's gonna be the guys that are like, yeah! IR blaster! It's amazing. So if you're into it, you're into it, and if you're not, you're not, and I totally get it. But there's one thing that we should all be into. Our sponsor, dbrand. The dbrand grip is their super grippy case that's basically Linus proof in terms of its drop resistance. It's got precision cutouts for all of your, cameras, touch sensors, all that good stuff. And of course, it's customizable with a dbrand skin of your choice. Also on the dbrand website, very, very new, is their prism screen protector. So it's got an included applicator that allows you to put it on perfectly every time. It's got shocking impact resistance, and you guys can check out both of those things at the link in the video description. So thanks for watching. Don't miss any of our CES 2019 coverage, you guys, by making sure that you are subscribed to Linus Tech Tips. It's really responsive too. especially compared to the foldable phone earlier. Woo! It's like fidget gyroscope screen switcher doodad.